Hello everyone! So today, continuation pa rin tayo ng ating discussion about hypothesis testing. So dun sa ating last two videos, we discussed about the comparing the sample mean and then the population mean kapag yung ating sample size is large and small. Okay, so today, ang i-discuss ko naman is comparing the sample proportion and population proportion. So, hindi na nagmamatter dito kung small ba yung ating sample size or large yung ating sample size. To compare the sample proportion and population proportion, we use the z-test. Okay, so z-test lang yung lagi natin gagamitin to compare the sample proportion and population proportion. So, kahit maliit man or malaki yung ating n or yung sample size. Okay, so we use this formula of z is equal to p minus p sub 0 all over square root of p sub 0 times the quantity of 1 minus p sub 0 over n. Okay, so yung p dyan, that is the sample proportion. Then p sub 0, so kapag merong 0, that is the population proportion. Then n, that is the sample size. Then to compute for the sample proportion or the p, that is equal to x all over n. So si x, yan yung number of success. Then si n, yan yung ating sample size. Now let's have an example. It has been claimed that less than 60% of all purchases of a certain kind of computer program will call the manufacturer's hotline within 1 month of purchase. If 55 out of 100 software purchasers selected at random call the hotline within a month of purchase, test the claim at 0.05 level of significance. Okay, so step 1, we need to state the null and alternative hypothesis. Okay, so remember, kapag meron kang nakitang less than, greater than, more than, lower than, dun sa ating problem, ang gagamitin natin na sign for alternative hypothesis is less than or greater than. So, yun lang. Pero kung wala, ang gagamitin mo naman is not equal. Okay, so since dito sa ating problem, we see that the claim is less than 60%. So, yung gagamitin natin na sign for alternative hypothesis is less than sign. Okay, so, to state the null and alternative hypothesis, so start tayo kay null hypothesis. Okay, so dito ang gagamitin natin is proportion. Okay, so P sub 0 is equal to 60% or 0.60. So, gagawin natin siyang decimal. Okay? So, again, si null hypothesis, laging equal sign. Then, the alternative hypothesis. Okay? So, the proportion is less than. So, less than 0.60. So, yung claim dito is less than 60%, 60% daw. So, ito yung ating claim, yung ating alternative hypothesis. Ito yung claim. So, ngayon, check natin kung true ba si null hypothesis. Okay, so step 2. Identify the appropriate test to be used in the critical value at a specified level of significance. Okay, so yung type of test na ating gagamitin is one-tailed test or specifically that is left-tailed test. Since yung ginamit natin na sign for alternative hypothesis is less than. So, dun lang again natin titingnan kung ano yung gagamitin na test dun sa alternative hypothesis. Since yung ginamit doon is less than sign, that is left-tailed test. Okay? Then, the given alpha or yung level of significance is 0.05. So, aalamin natin yung equivalent critical value ni 0.05 na one-tailed test. Okay? We will use this table again. Okay. So, since z-test, dito ka lang titingin sa baba. Ang pinakababa. Itong row ni z. Ayan. Okay. Then, doon kung one-tailed ba siya or two-tailed. Okay. So, since 0.05 yan, hanapin natin si 0.05 dun sa one tail. Okay, so nandito si 0.05. Okay. Then, kung saan tumapat yung 0.05 na one tail, so yun yung kanyang magiging critical value. So, titingin tayo dito sa pinakababa. So, that is 1.645 or 1.65 kung gagawin natin 2 decimal places. Okay? So, yung ating equivalent critical value is negative 1.65. So, bakit siya naging negative? Kasi yung type ng test natin is left tail. Okay? So, nasa left siya, meaning that is negative. Okay? So, kung illustrate natin yan using the normal curve, yung ating shaded part dito is yung negative 1.65. So, ibig sabihin, kapag mas mababa kay negative 1.65 yung makuha natin test value, we need to reject the null hypothesis. Pero kung mas mataas naman, kung dito siya mag-fall, ibig sabihin, we need to accept the null hypothesis. Okay, so step 3, we need to compute the test value using the formula of z-test. Okay, so yun yung ating gagamitin formula. Okay, so first we need to identify all the given. Okay, so ano-ano ba yung mga given? Okay, so yung ating population proportion or yung P sub 0 natin is 60% or that is 0.60. Okay, then yung N natin is 100. So, 55 out of 100. So, 55 yung total sample size natin. Then, para ma-compute yung sample proportion, okay, so, i-divide natin si 55 doon sa 100. So, 55 divided by 100, that is 0.55. So, again, si P, that is the sample proportion. So, siya yung sample lang. Then, si 0.60 or yung 60%, that is the population proportion. Okay, so now let's substitute all this given to the formula. Okay, so Z is equal to, yung P natin is 0.55 minus, yung P sub 0 natin is 0.60 all over square root of P sub 0 is 0.60 times the quantity of 1 minus 0.60 over 100. Okay? So, again, substitute lang natin lahat ng given dito sa formula. Okay, so next, let's compute this one. So, kapag kinompute nyo yan using your calculator, kahit anong calculator na meron kayo, okay, so ang makukuha natin value is negative 1.02. So, check nyo na lang din kung same tayo ng nakuha na answer. Okay, so yung ating z value or ating test value is negative 1.02. Okay, so ito ngayon yung ating titingnan kung magpo-fall ba siya doon sa rejection area or not. Okay? Okay, step 4, make decision whether to reject the null hypothesis or not. So again, si null hypothesis po yung ating laging chine-check. Okay? So ano ba yung na-compute natin na test value, and then ano ba yung critical value na meron tayo? Okay, so yung critical value natin na nakuha dun kay step 2 is negative 1.65. Okay, so dito yan sa ating normal curve. So nandito si negative 1.65. Then yung shaded part dyan, yan yung rejection region. Okay, then yung test value na na-compute is negative 1.02. Okay, so negative 1.02, magpo-fall yan dito. Okay, so malapit kay negative 1. Okay, so assume natin na nandyan si negative 1.02. Okay, so hindi siya pasok doon sa ating rejection region. Meaning, we need to accept the null hypothesis. Kasi wala siya doon sa ating rejection region. Okay? Since the computed value or the test value of z is equal to negative 1.02 fall outside the rejection region, we need to accept the null hypothesis. Okay. So, remember yung null and alternative hypothesis natin kanina, dun kay step 1. So, proportion or population proportion is equal to 0.60. Then, yung ating alternative hypothesis, that is, population proportion is less than 0.60. Then, yung claim dyan kanina is yung alternative. So, ito yung claim kanina, diba? Okay, so kung i-accept natin si null hypothesis, so i-reject natin ito sa alternative hypothesis. Meaning, yung claim na 60% or less than 60% daw is incorrect. So, hindi daw yun tama. Okay? So, step 5, okay, make a conclusion. Since we accept the null hypothesis, there is no sufficient evidence to conclude that the proportion of purchasers that will call the manufacturer's hotline within 1 month of purchase is less than 60%. Thus, the claim is false or incorrect. Okay?